So we are taking a look at cow bending, and I am joined by Stepan. Thank you so much for coming on the stream. And
Thanks
yeah,
for having me.
can you talk a little bit about your background in game development? And you were you the solo developer on this project? I see you have another link to the cow art here.
That's Cow Art by Jeremy Wood, but that was taken from the free game art.
I
So I'm
see.
just linking him here because that's the requirement of the license and because that art is totally awesome. So that's the image of the cow that was using. So the rest of it was made by me, including all the programming, all the art, and all of the
Okay.
ideas in there. So my background, I mean, my background doesn't really start in game development, and I'm not really a full-time game developer, as lots of us are. I am an industrial designer, so the stuff that I'm doing is like the two projects that I'm making are like household heater and a prosthetic knee. So those are the things that are my daytime job. But I'm moonlighting as a game developer. So that's what I'm doing. And it's my second game jam, GMTK. I participated last year. Uh, and now I'm here. And I'm thinking it's doing a lot better than it went last year.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm still trying to okay, so if I huh. Uh-oh. Okay, nice. You can just sort of undo one at a time. Um, I think the idea of this is really interesting. I'm just interesting. I'm not sure why that counted exactly as being complete.
That is a bug that was really tricky to get rid of, so I decided to just leave it there and not spend time fixing it. But basically, you can mutate the cow in the acid without dipping it into the acid. But detecting if the cow is inside the acid is really tricky. So I just decided to not fix that.
Right. So the objective is to get two cows, and I guess I don't understand how I don't have two cows. Um, okay,
The
so I'm supposed to.
objective is to get one cow, but with the properties that are
Oh,
listed
okay.
on
So
the
one cow,
page.
eight legs.
No,
No.
it's technically you have one out of two heads, and you or one out of zero heads, and you have to have zero heads and eight legs
Oh,
for
okay.
this to work.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't realize that that was referring to the head specifically. I think that's what I was getting confused about.
Yeah,
I thought it would just referred to the entire cow.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So if I do something like this, then there we go. I've got two heads on the cow. Okay. That's why I was and things. You're allowed to have more features than you than
Yeah,
necessary.
that are listed there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad I restarted the game because now this is making more sense. Um, okay, and I'll get the stream background music going as well. I hope that's not too loud. I'll turn that down just a little bit. Oops, I clicked.
cannot comment on that because I'm not.
No,
My
it's
screen
okay.
is muted.
I'm clicking away from the screen and I've generated quite a monstrosity here.
Yeah, it was not built for that. I've never seen this bug before.
Okay, well, don't worry about that. Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind this game?
The inspiration, I heard you asked about the inspiration,
Yeah.
this inspiration questions on the previous stream, so I've decided to think about it. Well, that's the major inspiration for this thing was an animation, a GIF submitted by some random guy on a oddly satisfying subreddit. I can link it here just to show what it was about. It was basically a 3D animation of an object being dipped into the water and through that being duplicated.
Right.
So it's really similar to this one, only that wasn't the game. was 3D and it was like a fractal cube that created really complex geometry. So when I saw that about 3 years ago, I just made a note for myself, like, hey, maybe one day I could use it somehow. So I did that. I basically do that quite often. So I just, write down things that I think might be useful in the game. And then when I was brainstorming ideas for this project, I decided to revisit my old list of game mechanics that could be useful for this particular topic. And then I came up with an idea of like merging things in the asset in order to satisfy certain goals. And my initial plan was to create like this cow certifying factory or like a car certifying agency where you would have to do the paperwork for the cows, but then at some point the gameplay would not let you do the certification the right way and you would have to change the cow so it fits the certification. It was a complicated like logic there, but the idea was that you have to do the paperwork for the cow factory, and when the paperwork just doesn't add up, you start changing cows, not the paperwork, because those are already fixed.
Oh, I like
and
that.
then I basically did design by subtraction and subtracted everything apart from the only bit that was fun, which was just dipping cows in the asset, and here we are now.
Yeah, I think oh no, I ended up with too many. Oh, well, let's see if I can. I have two, I only need one, so... Oh, interesting. Huh, okay. This the fifth level is definitely a little tricky. I do like the idea that, like, oh, paperwork can't change, gotta mutate the cows in order to match.
That was the role reversal part.
Yeah.
So let me know if you need any hints.
I'll keep messing with it, but in the meantime, can you talk a little bit about your actual development process?
Okay, well, development process. Well, I have something of the habit of participating in different like marathons and jams, but they are never about game design. So they're usually like industrial design or something to do, not even programming. It's usually like visual stuff. Sometimes it's job related, sometimes it's something else. I was teaching design for 8 years, so I organize them sometimes. So I really like taking whatever I do into the jam space, into the hackathon space or marathon, however you call that, and just, having fun by just limiting the amount of time that you have on the project. So I have decided to participate in the jam because I assume it's the biggest one. I mean, I love Mark's content, so I've decided to participate. And then I basically cleared out my schedule for the entirety of the 2 days. And apart from having like solid 8 hours of sleep every night, apart from that, I was just doing non-stop design. I didn't spend that much time on developing the idea. I went through like a blitz with that thing, and I decided to just not spend too much time, because last year I was kind of carried away with the amount of ideas I had, and those basically didn't let me basically program the thing that I was creating to the fullest. So I spent about, 2-3 hours on the idea generation, and then I just jumped straight into the prototyping stage, because I made myself a promise that whatever it is I'm doing, I'm gonna have to have a functional prototype of sorts that would just let me tell if the thing I'm making is fun before I like realize the entire thing. So, so I made that cow dipping thing. I basically, like, this cow was, I don't know, maybe on the 4th hour of the jam. I've already downloaded this cow. It was different colors. It looked a little different. I just updated it later. But basically, the cow was there from the beginning. Then everything was shaking around it. So then I basically quickly threw together this mechanic of just duplicating sprites. It wasn't that complex because at that point I wasn't thinking about how I'm going to detect the number of like cow heads and udders and legs and like tails, because that's the trickier part than just basically the way it works here is like a render texture. So you just everything that is above the acid is rendered to a texture which is displayed below, and whenever the acid happens, it's basically duplicating those pixels into the texture above. But the detection algorithm took me quite a while. So did the undo, but I realized that without the undo, it's just not fun to restart the entire level. I ended up just basically copying almost the entirety of the scene and just having it as a separate thing every time you make a move. So it's just whenever you have to revert, there is no like complex serialization or anything. You just like you delete the main body of the scene, and it is replaced with an old one, which has been idling in a deactivated state ever since you made the move. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, at least the game is simple enough that it's possible to brute force it like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not visually complex, and there are not that many objects, really.
Yeah, all right. And then what would you say is the most difficult problem that you encountered, and what was your solution?
The most difficult one, I think that was once I got rid of the paperwork idea of like working with papers and then having to reverse the roles, and instead of fixing the paperwork, you fix the cows. As soon as that was lost, I lost the connection to the main topic of the game. So I had to do some form of role reversal. You're almost there. The game doesn't count
There we go.
the ropes of the tail. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it does. So I have to find some to bring the connection to the topic back, even though that's where the idea started. I lost it along the way. So I was going on a little walk in the middle of the. I think it was the middle point of the project. I think it was like 24 hours has passed, and I was going on a walk with my wife, and I told her about the idea, and I was telling her that the problem is that the connection to the subject is not really, it's a bit iffy. And well, she suggested, like, what if instead of melting cows in the acid, the cow melts you in the acid? And well, then it just clicked. So as soon as I went home, I just added that little guy to the right.
Yeah.
And I saw that some people love the twist.
Yeah.
When the cow and the guy switch places.
It's a very, like, I like the poetic justice of it. I almost would have loved if that was just the very last level, but I appreciate that it's.
Well, it obviously was at some point.
Oh,
so
okay.
the organizers, I was submitting the game. I think it says on the page that it was submitted an hour and like 5 minutes before, but the gem was extended by an hour. So I submitted it in the last 5 minutes, and then I realized that, 2 minutes. So I submitted it in the last 2 minutes, and then the organizers extended. So I basically could do a little more stuff, and I decided to add a couple more levels because, I mean, the game is still very short. Like, if you know what you're doing, you're gonna, go through it really fast. But not that many people know what to do with the mechanics, so unusual. So I had to add a couple more levels, and I realized that I don't really like the sprite of the guy, because the cow, as I said, I took it from open game art,
Yeah.
but the guy I had to draw him myself. I don't think he's that good of a character. Maybe it's like perfectionist in me, but I usually work with 3D stuff. So if I do 2D, it's usually like photoshopping the rendered images of like a toy airplane, which I have designed in my main job. But here I had to like come up with a funny little guy. So I did that, but I didn't want to have him be the main character. So I decided, hell, now that he is in the level 6, I think he appears, I don't want to have the next 4 more levels, I think I did, or like 3 more levels. I don't want it to be just him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's level 6. That was originally the final level.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to like actually take advantage of the time. Like, I know that um, a lot of people I've spoken to, like, realized they had an extra hour, tried to add something to the game, realized it didn't work, and then just had to revert or like go back. So I'm glad that extra hour was actually enough for you to do something meaningful and add to the game.
I have read it on the front page of the jam that that was a thing that you shouldn't be doing. So I basically saw the message that you're getting an extra hour, and then I saw a message that you shouldn't be adding anything like game changing because you just might break things. And I realized, well, that's a good advice. So I just gonna add more content to the thing that's already there. I had a little like for a moment, I had a glimpse that maybe I should add sound to the game, but I definitely would have overcomplicated the thing, and it wouldn't be as polished as it is now because I had to iron out a couple of bugs in that hours. In some of them are still there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, I have solved this level before, and I just remembered what I did wrong. But yeah, I think that like being able to submit and then have the opportunity to add more content and then resubmit, like I think a lot of people were still scrambling just to submit anything at all within that last hour time frame. So I'm glad you were able to like actually make use of the time and didn't feel like the systems that you had in place were robust enough that it was possible to add those extra levels and not worry about the integrity of the original project.
yeah, I see Barton Moon saying that it should come on to the Unreal side. I've tried Unreal Engine before. I had a project there. Yeah, a team of designers were creating a game based on a little prototype that I did in Unity, and because most of the people were familiar with Real Engine, it was much easier for us just to switch to that platform, and I had to work on that for a couple of years. But I just don't want to make anything complicated, and I'm not gonna say that I was planning to make a two-dimensional game for this gem. I've never made a 2D game, but I realized that probably that would be slightly simpler, even considering that I have never done it before. I've heard a lot of things are simpler in 2D, like collision detection, and basically the overall performance. I like the smiley faces.
Yeah, that was kind of inadvertent. I realized I did it the previous time. Okay, you can't undo once you've actually successfully created.
Nope.
You can still spin it though, which is fun.
Yeah, I made sure of that.
Sam EG, thank you for the follow. The smiley faces are awesome. They're also very uncanny. Sorry?
I should. I'm following already. Okay.
Yeah, I sort of ask out of people as the first step in submitting the game if they can follow the channel, just because that way I can. That way people get notified, like, because in your case, like, you had submitted to the stream and then weren't able to participate for a few days, but this way, if you're following the channel, you get the notification when I'm live, and maybe then you'll be able to follow up, return to the stream.
Absolutely. I think, and I also think it's fair. But the thing is that I saw a button, a subscribe button at the bottom, and because before this jam, I didn't even have the Twitch account, so I assumed like, oh, the subscribe button is not on, so I'm not subscribed. And then I realized following and subscriptions are two different
Yeah,
things.
that's the thing where for anyone who has an Amazon Prime account, you can link it to Twitch and get a free Twitch Prime subscription, which you can use to support your favorite creators, and it costs you nothing, and it charges the money to Amazon instead. So I get an extra $3 from that.
Oh wow.
So,
I don't have an Amazon account, but if
yeah.
I guess considering all the streaming wars, sooner or later I will have it. So.
I mean, it really depends if people already have a use for an Amazon Prime account, then it's a nice way as a bonus to link it, get a Twitch Prime account. For me, it works out because I don't have Amazon Prime. I linked my dad's, but what it lets me do is my videos now get archived for 2 months instead of 2 weeks, which gives me a little more time to create these highlights out of the interviews, and it also means that I can then use that free Twitch Prime sub to support someone else. I'm currently subscribed to Vimlark. So yeah, it's a nice way that like you can't use it on yourself. You have to give it to somebody else, which is it's a nice sort of like pay it forward mentality.
Yeah, I like it.
So anyway, it's not something I plug very often, but just because it came up in conversation. So
Absolutely.
anyway, do you have any plans to continue the game? It feels complete, but was there anything else you wanted to do with the idea?
Well, there are a lot of things that I want to, some minor bugs that I want to fix. Like we can, like that guy, for example. I want
Yeah.
to redraw him. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. It's just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
There are some suggestions, some great suggestions that were given by people who reviewed the game. By the way, people reviewed the game. So
Yes.
they suggested adding a creative mode so that people can create some monstrosities and then basically like share them somehow, but without the added complexity of, or like without the limitations of creating a particular character. So
Right.
maybe people can try to copy different, some person creates one thing, people try to copy, I don't know, but some form of like a creative outlet, because ultimately that's what people are doing with this game. Most of the time they're just like playing around. The actual puzzle mechanic doesn't really get people that far. So apart from that, I would also absolutely love to add the sounds to the thing. And I actually did that, but not in the the Unity thing. There is like a short video at like the bottom of the page. You can see it on like the YouTube button to the lower right, and basically it has my vision as to what the sounds of the game should sound like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to add that, but basically most of it comes down to how successful this jam is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my ambitions would be to get featured in Mark's video, or like to be in the top whatever, but I don't know if that is going to happen. But the more people see this game, the more incentive I have to just make something cool, to update it and to view more content. Because obviously, like adding more levels, it's a matter of a couple of days. But some of like the major changes, like new game modes, new art, new characters,
Yeah.
or maybe the entire mechanic of like house certification or doing this paperwork will somehow come back. That basically takes a lot of time, probably, and I don't want to subject myself to the level of stress that I have experienced during the marathon, the jam, because it was a ton of fun. But as soon as I was over with the jam, I went. I went to bed, but there I recorded myself a video message and sent it to me in Telegram for the next year. So like a cautionary tale about not working yourself to death during the game jam. Because I guess the gist of it was that I have spent so much energy making this game, and now I don't want to play any games. I don't want to interact with any games. I'm
Oh
just
man.
too much, and it was better like the next morning. But like after I hit the submission, I was exhausted, and I was like, why am I killing the fun of Jam for myself? So I'm a lot more enthusiastic about this game now. I love it, and I've been reviewing tons of games. Let me just take a look at how many. How do I take a look of how many games? Well, okay, so I have submissions, I guess. So it has to be the number. So I have rated 52 games.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I have played a lot of them. So, but yeah, so the fun came back, but still, that was a thing that I guess you should be conscious about. I forgot the initial question and just rambling away.
This all just sort of came from the question of if you had any plans for the game going forward. But, you know, I think that you've raised a lot of points about, like, what is your objective when it comes to participating in a game jam in the first place. As you said, like, it shouldn't be about, like, pushing yourself so hard that you end up stressed and burning out. It should just be, like, in my mind, you should ideally... the jam theme should not be a source of stress. It should just be a jumping off point to say, like, hey, if you need something to get you started, and theoretically to keep people honest and make it so that they don't start working on the game before the jam actually starts. I understand the utility of a jam theme, but I also dislike it when people rate the game too heavily based on whether or not it did or didn't follow the jam theme, which is why I'm really glad to see that this year the adherence to the theme has been dropped from the rating category. So as long as you kind of fundamentally follow the idea of your game fits the theme, and I really like the comedic way that you found to adhere to that theme.
Narrative, yeah.
But also just like very directly, the fact that the cow and the scientist sort of swap roles is it's great. What else can I say?
I
It's
find
amusing.
it
It's
fitting
funny.
to the mechanic. Complementary. Yeah. Yeah, and Bart, I've seen your comment that I have rated your game. I will. As soon as this thing is over, I've seen your game. I didn't exactly understand what the game mechanic was just by the video alone. I saw you like doing all the crazy stuff in MS Paint, but I will figure it out. It looks complex. I like complex. I like puzzle games.
By the way, where did the name cow bending come from?
Well, I was going through several names, and one of the names was biblically accurate cows, which some of the people
Yeah,
actually
that's
named
good.
in the comment. But I decided to make it a lot shorter to pronounce, and it's basically like an Avatar, that cartoon thing, animation
Yes.
series. There's like water bending, fire bending, and then there's cow bending. Why don't we just do that? But I mean, that was like one of the last minute decisions. I did not have the name. You can see like the name is not featured anywhere inside the game, like free. So basically the only place where the name is present was the actual final like itch.io submission page. So I had to put something there. And I also tried to add something because I was also considering that like people who are bilingual would not be, it wouldn't be a problem for them. You know, English is not my native language, so a lot of my friends are not English speakers. So I assume that like cow banding, like cow, everybody knows cow. Banding, I guess people probably will figure it out. I don't know if anything, they know Bender from Futurama. My friends do, so it has to be simple enough for many people. So that was like one of the main things was to make the entire experience snappy. Like I realized that last year I had like an overly complex thing that was like a strategy game which I wasn't able to execute. So it came down to the finish line of like the very bare bone idea of a strategy game. But the underlying idea was too complex for people just to get it with like the first few I don't know, seconds of the video. So this year I decided to just go clean full into this. Like the thing has to be fun. Like the very very short, like 4 seconds that you have, you just do that. But that was hard. I don't think that I managed to convey the whole idea of the game in like 4 seconds of the gameplay, because people are usually confused at the very beginning. But the short clips and like the videos that I have made, they were rather successful on Reddit. One of them got like 500 upvotes or something. So it's
Awesome.
the video that's on the. I can just open it. No, you can.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one right here, you mean?
Yeah, this video right here. So it's like it's very fast, and it has the sound. So
Oh yeah, here, I'll mute the stream background and we can...
this is basically goes back to my vision of how the audio should work in this game.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, so it was much simpler to make than to implement it into the game. I haven't made that many games with like proper audio. Usually that thing comes at the very last moment. But I have made a lot of like short videos.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run a TikTok, visual TikTok channel with like quite experimental art and techniques. So I know my way around Premiere Pro. So I just decided to use that. Besides, that's the thing that I can add after the fact without changing the project file.
Yeah, I mean, if you, if you do have time to add the audio into the game, I think people would love it. But as you said, like, it really depends what's actually worth adding. If the video itself that you produced in the end captures the essence and sort of got the interest in it, like, I feel like it's sort of diminishing returns to then go back and add it to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes, I mean, actually, I've already went back, because of course I did, and I've already added the zap sound to the acid process just to highlight the main thing that does the action. So that's the only sound that is there, but it's not there in like the current build. Obviously, I cannot update it, so at least that I will update after the jam is off. But maybe I'll add more sounds to it. But I have to find a clever way about implementing the sounds, because I don't know, I've never worked with like simulating water effects and how will it play out if the cow is moving in the water, or does it produce any extra sounds or not?
Yeah, you want to avoid those situations where, like, I'm thinking of those classic situations where in a 3D game, like, two objects start colliding and they just kind of like shudder against each other and keep making like a cacophony of noise.
Yeah. That's the thing. So I assumed it's going to be that.
All right. So I think the last question I have is just if you want to plug any other projects or any social media channels you'd like people to follow you on.
Yeah, I guess one of the projects, like if anybody is interested in VR stuff, games that like my magnum opus, it's like the lower one. You can see it on the game Black and White, the Barrel On VR thing. So that's the game that I would love people to check out. It's free. It's on SideQuest. It's a short prototype. It's basically an equivalent of this thing of cow banding. It's a VR kind of very it's a weird game where you have a gun, but that gun also has wheels. So you're shooting in VR, but you also have to drive around with the wheels that are attached to your car, and so the entire scenery is moving at you. It's it's hard to comprehend, especially if you like haven't tried playing a lot of VR games. But your gun has wheels, and you drive them. That's the game that I'm currently making. I'm once again moonlighting, so it's still not my primary occupation. And if people want some fun stuff, I also have a TikTok channel, which is called Forked Joy. So if you can bring that up,
yeah, if you have a link that you want to drop in chat, feel free.
Okay, so let me just.
Sorry, I don't have a TikTok, so I can't pull it up on my end.
Okay. I think this is like one of the most famous things that I ever did was like a couple of TikToks there. So it's like one of the videos was like 12 million views. And me turning into a pink chair. Sometimes people see like, oh, I know that one. But regardless, it's neither here nor there. I'm just happy to be participating in this game jam, and I'm really happy. Yeah, so if you go a little lower, oh, okay, so it doesn't. Okay, if you try scrolling down, it doesn't really see the. I guess never mind. It was one of the initial videos, so if you can keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, you might get to the video that has. Yeah, so that's the lower left video.
Oh, this one?
11 millions. Yeah, if you can take a look at that, that was the Kickstarter of my entire TikTok career. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I try to do a lot of different things. I'm not a full-time game developer. I'm not a full-time TikToker, and I guess I am a full-time designer. But yeah, just doing different stuff.
That's very good.
So, thanks a lot for having me. That was quite an interesting experience, because I don't think I've ever done an interview before, apart from like a job interview, but this was far more pleasant.
I was about to say, I hope this was far less stressful than that. And thank you as well for your patience as well. It took like 7 minutes to get this whole thing working because my speakers were dying and just everything was going wrong. And even now, the reason that I'm like so much to the right of the frame is because my headphone cable is plugged directly into the back of my PC instead of my speakers sitting on my desk. So I'm just like, eh. Anyway, so thank you for bearing with me through that.
Someone in the chat says that they have sorry.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat said that they have seen the TikTok, the pink chair thing. Yeah, a lot of the people have seen it, and they keep on being surprised that is me, even friends of mine. So yeah, I'm really proud of that one. That's my magnum opus.
I mean, it's a very good idea, well executed, you know. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing the game, for sharing that, and if you have another jam project that you work on down the line or anything else that you'd like to share that isn't like jam related per se, but you just want some feedback on, I'd be more than happy to take a look.
Absolutely. I am going to participate in next year's jam. I don't know in what shape or form. Maybe I will just join some teams or whatever. But I really like game development, and I will definitely be doing that. And I mean, do you by any chance have a VR headset, or you're not doing the VR reviews?
I don't, and moreover, I don't think I have a good way to show VR on stream.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think anybody does, really. So, yeah. But, hey, I'm doing other games too, so I'll drop by.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and yeah, I look forward to when you're back on next.
All right. Thanks for having me, and bye-bye.
Bye for now.